we're gonna talk a little bit about the role that we're playing. Since now architects with this new technology, there's a few things that we need to add to our toolkit here. Because now architects are really not just viewed as just a user, they're as the navigator, right? So a little bit on that transformation on our role in this new era is that we need to incorporate these three things that I see now that we can actually optimize our AI, let's say, knowledge and output to the highest point, and not just in with AI, but in our design workflow and integrating AI. But one of them is to realizing that we're gonna have to become expert curators, meaning that AI is gonna give us a lot of like data and information and iterations and ideations. So in the before AI, we used to come up with like a few ideas, right? Whether it's like we were sketching and we were using Pinterest or we're using Google. So we used to come with maybe 5 to 10 ideas. And from there, we can just filter those out to come out with the top 3 ideas or 4 ideas. But now with AI, go from 10 to 15 to like 50, 40, 50, 60, 70 ideas, depending on what you're using it for, whether it's for data, for information, for ideation, for renderings. But we have a lot more data and resources that we can get out of AI. And as architects and designers, we're going to have to really start curating those a lot more, right? Meaning that the great thing is that we have options. The bad thing is that we have a lot of options too. So how can we start curating those? So really start to come up with a workflow where you can start applying. So for instance, I'm going to give you an example. If you are using Midjourney for ideation and you're generating 50 images, 40 images, how can you start nitpicking each one, right? Where maybe out of the 50, you don't need 50, but out of the bat, you already cut half of them, knowing that, okay, out of the 50, these 25 are going to serve me because there's a specific image, a specific item on each of these images that I like as far as the design, right? Like the trellis on this one and the wood frame on this one and the detail of this other one and the material, conjunction on this other one. So start kind of curating these ideas into one, also on data the same, right?
But first, if you are serious about making your architecture firm grow, or you are an architect willing to learn these systems and apply to your company, I have put together an AI discovery for architects resource that you can access and get familiar with the fundamentals of AI for architecture. So comment presentation below and we will send you the guide to access it on demand. All right, let's jump into the video.
For instance, I was doing a research on architecture, a specific architecture style, and the AI gave me like 8 different articles, great articles, by the way. But from there, I had to kind of read through them really quickly and understanding that out of the 8, I really needed 2 that are really was what I was looking for. And the same is with design. From this 25, you can maybe narrow to 8 or 7, but now you have a lot more ideas. You have polished a lot more the design even before it started. And you have a lot more ideas to talk with your client, with consultants and things like that. So you really start curating those ideas or information or ideas that the AI is giving you. So you really need to start organizing how you're going to start filtering those things. The other one is really going to be to start communicating with AI. So now that you are, let's say you on your company are going to start using AI, what is the best way to start talking to AI for it to kind of give you the best output? So the way I like to put this is that AI, generally speaking, is going to give you good outputs, regardless of what you give it. Of course, sometimes it might not give you great outputs, but as a general rule, the better input you give to an AI, the better output you're going to get. So for us to get the best input, you need to start knowing you need to know how to communicate with the AI, whether it's like, if you're doing it through prompting, which is most of the AIs at this point, that's the way you communicate with them, understanding how to generate an amazing prompt. Like, what are the principles? What is the foundation to start creating these prompts, right? Whether it's assigning a role, assigning a task, given context, giving it notes and specificity, assigning guardrails. So how to communicate with AI. So once you start kind of getting the knowledge and the foundations about how to communicate with it, the better output you're going to get. That would be the second one. Another one that I found very interesting is the critical editors. And coming back again to we are the thought leaders, think about AI as an assistant, right? Where the assistant doesn't have all the knowledge that you have as far as the context, as far as your experience in architecture, as far as your experience with the design or working with a specific city, or specific architectural style you want to convey to your client. So the AI is really there to give you the data you need, the information you need, the ideas that you give. But the moment you don't go over that information and you start trusting the AI like 100% without you being part of the process, you're going to notice that the AI is not giving the right solutions. It's going to start giving you these solutions, but it doesn't have the right context. So what you want to be doing is making sure you're editing the process, meaning like the AI is going to give you that 50%, that 80% that you need, depending on the output and depending on the task that is given, on how good it can perform. But ultimately, you are the one that is going to have to take that extra 20, 30% to get to a final product. So the more you understand that and have that consciousness that the AI is not going to be the magic bullet that you just put a prompt and it automatically gives you 100% on the answer, understanding that it's going to just get you closer, but you as the leader and you as the designer and architect, you are the one that is going to have to put together that final design, that final input, that final note on the project. That's when you it's changing to your mindset to you're not depending on AI, but AI is more as a tool that is going to help you enhance your process. Now, a little bit on this right now, where AI is as of right now, most of the impact that you're going to see is in the conceptual part of it. That's where you see the idea expansion, the visual options, the client alignment. That's where you're really going to get the most of the impact of AI. But the more it improves, you're going to see also right now, like in the development part, where it's for renderings or rapid optimizations, you're going to see that they started to become really good at it. I remember only a year ago, before Nano Banana Pro came out, the major complaint I will get from architects was that it was just whenever you were doing AI renderings, it would just not have enough control and consistency, right? All of the most of the people trying to use it for renderings would just be like, it just doesn't have that. And only a year, like nowadays, you can get almost like 90% of that control and consistency that architects were craving only a year ago. And the thing is, like, the model right now in a year is going to be a lot better. So that's where we see massive improvements. And then lastly, in the production part of it, it's growing. The automated drafting and the BIM collaboration. Even though it's not perfect right now, I think most of the companies that are able to leverage this in, let's call it, in a good way, are the big companies that have the developers, not developers, but people that specialize in computational design and in the background and the back end of things. These are the people that can leverage that. But I would not be surprised that in the next year or two, these tools are a lot easier to use. For instance, you already see AI agents in Revit and AutoCAD that even though they have basic functionalities, I can see that in a year or two, you can actually start generating a lot more output from these agents and it's starting to get a lot better. So that's a little bit on this. And just understanding that even though this might feel overwhelming, you don't necessarily need to be a tech expert for this. You just have to start asking the right questions and just be curious about it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe so we can send you more notifications. And if you are serious about making your architecture firm grow, or you are an architect willing to learn these systems and apply to your company, I have put together an AI Discovery Guide webinar and a PDF guide that you can access and get familiar with the fundamentals of AI for architecture. So comment presentation below and we will send you the guide to access it on demand. All right. Thank you so much for watching.